Thanks for joining us here on Weather Nation. For many animal species, spring kicks off the migration season, and that includes the famous monarch butterfly. Here to take us through this major migration is David Mizejewski with the National Wildlife Federation. David, first off, thank you so much for joining us today. Can you quickly explain the journey that these monarch butterflies are doing this spring?
Yeah, monarch butterflies are one of the most amazing wildlife species that we have here in North America. They're a migratory butterfly species, which is pretty rare. And so each year, the monarchs that hatch in the US will migrate south all the way down to Mexico for the butterflies east of the Rockies, or along the California coast for the western population west of the Rockies. Some of these butterflies are flying 3,000 miles. It's incredible. And so it's one of the really, I think, one of the natural wonders of the world that we can see literally right outside our door.
Yeah, and I'm from California, and I remember this being such a big thing every year, talking about the monarchs. How long does this migration take? You said that they can travel upwards of 3,000 miles. How long does that take them?
Yeah, so for the eastern population, that the butterflies that hatch up in the northern US and Canada, those are the ones that are flying the full 3,000 miles. It's shorter migrations for the western population, but it can take weeks for them to go that far. So again, it's a pretty incredible journey for such a tiny animal to be able to do.
And how does weather impact these little creatures as they are taking their migration paths?
Weather is a huge factor. I mean, again, obviously they're small and they're, relatively delicate animals. So, in the fall migration, it's happening sort of late August through, maybe October. The spring migration is about to start. And so things like unseasonable cold snaps can actually kill a lot of the butterflies, late season snowstorms, things like that. But, even things like extreme heat and drought at different times of the year, during those migration periods can actually take a huge toll. Big, strong windstorms as well. And of course, climate change is exacerbating all of those things. And we're already seeing the unfortunate effect on the monarch populations as a result.
And we were talking earlier that this species is not actually listed as endangered, but they are an endangered species. Can you go into a little bit more detail about that, and then what people can do to help this species as well?
Yeah, so monarch butterfly populations have plummeted in the last few decades. The eastern population is down by about 80% from what it should be. The western population is in even worse shape, in some years as low as 99% from where the population used to be. So they really are in trouble. And so they are not officially listed as an endangered species under the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, which is, the law that, designates that here in the U.S. Now, the Fish and Wildlife Service has said that the species warrants being listed as a threatened species, which is one category lower than endangered, but they have yet to actually, make that listing happen. And they keep sort of pushing the deadline for that, down further. And so they were supposed to do it by the end of last year. They pushed it. Hopefully, we'll get a listing decision this year. But here's the thing, regardless of what ends up happening with that official listing, which would be an incredible way of protecting and restoring this really iconic species, there's still things that each of us can be doing. Not many declining species have things that the individual person can do. But for monarch butterflies, we can all be part of the process of saving them. And it really boils down to planting the plants that these butterflies need to survive. So fill your yard with lots of blooming native plants that are native to your region that these butterflies co-evolved with. That's going to provide them with nectar to fuel their migration. And then critically important is milkweed. Milkweed is a native plant. It's the only kind of plant that monarch butterfly caterpillars can eat. If milkweed is not out there in the landscape, even in your town or your community or your own backyard, the monarchs can't reproduce. And that's a big reason why their population is plummeting. So it's simple. Everybody this spring, commit to planting some more beautiful blooming native plants, including milkweed, and you'll be doing your part to make sure that the monarchs have a future. Also, please don't spray pesticides. These are insects. It will kill them.
That's a really good information, and really is such a simple thing that folks can do. People love to tend to their gardens, and they're kind of now starting to think, okay, what am I going to plant? And, they can start to think ahead of time to help the monarchs as well. Is there anything else that you want people at home to know about the journey that these butterflies take?
Well, again, just that it's really a special, unique North American wildlife phenomenon that is at risk of disappearing, along with, the wonder that it brings to us. And so the butterflies are an important part of the ecosystem, but they're also special because they're meaningful to us. They're beautiful. They're one of the first insects that kids usually learn about and can identify. And it's just really tragic to think that our actions are causing them to disappear. So let's all be part of the solution. Plant a wildlife habitat garden. The National Wildlife Federation has tons of info on how to do that. If you visit nwf.org/garden, we even have resources on where you can get those native plants and milkweed so that you can make sure that you're doing your part to make sure monarchs have a future.
Great resources there. And David, while we have you, are there any other species or animals that people should know about their migration patterns that are happening soon in the spring too?
Oh my gosh, so many species are going to be on the move if they're not already. So all of the neotropical songbirds and raptors that are flying down to Central and South America for the winter are going to be on their way back north. The in California, the California coast, the gray whale migration is beginning. In other parts of the country, amphibians who are migrating from where they overwintered under the fallen leaves in the woods to their breeding ponds, that's going to be happening. That's sort of a micro level migration. All sorts of animals are going to be on the move. And, I encourage everybody to get outside this spring, get out into nature, and you might just actually be able to witness some of these incredible migrations.
Absolutely beautiful. Well, David, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time and educating us on the monarch butterflies and things that folks can do to help them out this season and the seasons to come.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, we'll be right back with more of your top weather headlines here on Weather Nation. Don't go anywhere.